You know what's funny about betrayal? It's never the big moments that give it away. It's the small stuff, the patterns. The way someone suddenly needs to run errands every Tuesday at 3, the way they start doing laundry more often, or how they suddenly care about what underwear they're wearing to go grocery shopping. My name is David Mitchell, and I'm a 42-year-old IT repair technician in the slowly dying mill town of Millfield, Maine. I fix computers for a living, which means I notice patterns. When Mrs. Henderson's laptop crashes every time she opens her email, I know she's got malware. When the high school's network goes down every Friday at 2, I know some kid figured out how to game the system. And when my wife Sarah starts disappearing to her best friend's house every single time that friend leaves town, well, that's a pattern too. Sarah and I have been married for 15 years. We met in college, back when I thought I was going to be a software engineer and she was studying to be a teacher. Life had other plans. The Milltown economy tanked, good jobs disappeared, and we ended up stuck in Millfield like everyone else who couldn't afford to leave. Sarah works part-time at the local elementary school now, helping kids with reading. She's good at it, patient, kind. At least that's what I thought until about 6 months ago when I started noticing the pattern. Her best friend Zoe married this guy Logan Parrish about 8 years ago. Logan owns the only decent gym in town and thinks he's God's gift to fitness. He's one of those guys who wears tank tops in December and talks about his gains like he's discussing world peace. Zoe travels a lot for her job in pharmaceutical sales, sometimes gone for days at a time. And every single time Zoe left town, Sarah would suddenly remember something urgent she needed to discuss with Logan. "I'm going to check on Logan," she'd say, grabbing her keys. "You know how he gets when Zoe's away? He probably hasn't eaten a real meal in days." At first, I bought it. Logan did seem pretty helpless without Zoe around. The guy could bench press twice his body weight, but couldn't figure out how to work the dishwasher. Sarah was just being a good friend, looking out for her best friend's husband. But then I started paying attention to the timing. Zoe would text Sarah about leaving for a business trip. Within an hour, Sarah would find some reason to go check on Logan. She'd be gone for 3, sometimes 4 hours. When she came back, she'd be showered, her hair different, wearing clothes I hadn't seen her put on that morning. "How's Logan doing?" I'd ask. "Oh, same old Logan. I made him some dinner and we watched a movie." 4 hours to make dinner and watch a movie, right. The thing is, I didn't want to believe it. Sarah and I had our problems, sure. Money was tight. We'd been talking about having kids for years, but never quite getting there. And sometimes it felt like we were more roommates than husband and wife. But I loved her. I thought she loved me too. I started keeping track. Not in a creepy way, just noticing. Zoe left for Chicago on a Tuesday in March. Sarah was at Logan's house from 2 to 6. Zoe went to visit her sister in Boston the following week. Sarah spent the entire afternoon helping Logan organize his garage. The pattern was perfect. Too perfect. Last month, I decided to follow her. I told Sarah I had to work late fixing the computers at the dentist's office across town. Instead, I parked at the end of Logan's street and waited. Sarah's car was already in his driveway when I got there at 3:30. At 4:15, I walked up to the house. The living room curtains were open just enough for me to see inside, and what I saw made my stomach drop straight through the floor. Sarah was on Logan's couch, straddling him, her shirt on the floor beside them. His hands were all over her, and she was kissing him like the world was ending. They were so focused on each other, they never noticed me standing there with my phone, taking pictures through the window. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, just watching my 15-year marriage disintegrate in real time. Then I walked back to my car and drove home. That night, Sarah came home at 6:30, humming some song under her breath. She'd showered again. I could smell her vanilla body wash, the stuff she only used for special occasions. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "How was Logan?" I asked, not looking up from my laptop. "Good. Lonely, I think he really misses Zoe when she's gone." "I'll bet he does," I thought, especially when you're there to help him forget. But I didn't say anything, not yet, because I'm a patient man, and I wanted to see just how far this would go. I didn't have to wait long. 2 weeks later, Sarah came home with a strange look on her face. It was our anniversary, 15 years of marriage, and I'd been planning to take her out to dinner at the nice Italian place in the next town over. Nothing fancy, but better than the usual chain restaurants in Millfield. "David," she said, setting her purse down on the kitchen counter. "We need to talk." My heart started pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "Sure, what's up?" "I know about the pictures." For a second, I thought she meant the photos on my phone. the ones of her and Logan. But then she kept talking, and I realized she was talking about something else entirely. The pictures you took of me and Logan. Zoe told me you've been following me, taking photos, trying to make it look like we're having an affair. I stared at her. What? Don't play dumb, David. Zoe saw you lurking around Logan's house last week. She saw you with your phone out, taking pictures through the window. She's really upset about it. This was rich. Zoe was upset about me taking pictures, but apparently not upset about her husband sleeping with her best friend. Unless... Sarah, I said carefully, what exactly did you tell Zoe? The truth. That you've been paranoid and jealous, that you're imagining things that aren't there, and that you're so desperate to prove I'm cheating that you're actually staging fake photos. Fake photos? Come on, David. That picture you took of me sitting on Logan's couch? We were watching a movie. I had something in my eye and leaned over to ask him to look at it. You just happened to snap the photo at the exact wrong moment, and now you think it's proof of an affair. I looked at my wife. Really looked at her. She was completely serious. She actually believed her own story, or at least she was pretending to believe it so convincingly that even I was starting to doubt what I'd seen. And the picture of you kissing him? We weren't kissing. I was whispering something to him about Zoe's birthday party. Again, you just caught us at a weird angle. With your shirt off. I spilled coffee on it. Logan gave me one of Zoe's shirts to wear home, but I hadn't put it on yet when you took the picture. She had an answer for everything, every single detail, explained away with the kind of casual confidence that comes from either complete innocence or months of practice. Look, Sarah continued, I get that things have been weird between us lately. I know we're not as close as we used to be, but accusing me of cheating with Logan? It's crazy, David, and it's hurting our friendship with them. Our friendship? Yes, our friendship. Zoe is my best friend, and Logan has always been good to us. Remember when he helped you move that old refrigerator, and when he let you borrow his truck when your car was in the shop? I remembered. Logan had been helpful, friendly even, which made this whole situation even more twisted. So what are you saying, Sarah? She took a deep breath. I'm saying you need to apologize to them, and you need to delete those pictures. And maybe we should think about couples counseling, because this paranoia thing you've got going on isn't healthy. I nodded slowly. You're right, I'm sorry. I guess I've been feeling insecure lately, and I let my imagination run wild. Sarah's face brightened. Really? You mean it? Absolutely. In fact, why don't you call Zoe? Ask her and Logan to come over tomorrow evening. I'll apologize in person, and we can put this whole thing behind us. That's a great idea. It's our anniversary, so it'll be like a fresh start. Exactly, I said. A fresh start. That night, Sarah was more affectionate than she'd been in months. She curled up next to me on the couch while we watched TV, held my hand, even suggested we open a bottle of wine to celebrate our anniversary early. I love you, David, she said as we were getting ready for bed. I know things haven't been perfect lately, but I want to make this work. I love you too, I said, and meant it. Even after everything, I still loved her, which was what made this hurt so much. The next evening, Zoe and Logan showed up right on time. Zoe brought flowers. For your anniversary, and Logan brought a 6-pack of expensive beer. David, Zoe said, giving me a hug. Sarah told me about your conversation yesterday. I'm so glad we're going to clear the air. Me too, I said. I owe you both an apology. We sat in the living room, Sarah and Zoe on the couch, Logan in the armchair, me standing by the fireplace. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head a dozen times. I want to apologize for my behavior, I began. I've been feeling insecure about my marriage, and I let that insecurity turn into paranoia. I started seeing things that weren't there, imagining problems that didn't exist. We understand, Logan said. Marriage is hard work. We all have our moments. The thing is, I continued, I realize now that I wasn't just imagining things. I was seeing exactly what was happening. I just didn't want to believe it. The room went quiet. David, Sarah said slowly, what are you talking about? I pulled out my phone. I'm talking about this. I held up the screen so everyone could see. It was the photo of Sarah straddling Logan on his couch, both of them half-dressed, kissing like teenagers. Zoe gasped. Logan's face went white. Sarah started to speak, but I held up my hand. And this one? I swiped to the next photo. Sarah with her shirt off, Logan's hands on her waist. And this one. Another swipe. Logan kissing Sarah's neck while she threw her head back in obvious pleasure. These are fake, Sarah said quickly. David, you can't seriously... They're not fake, Sarah, and we all know it. I looked at Zoe, who was staring at the photos with her mouth open. Zoe, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but your husband and my wife have been having an affair for months. Every time you leave town, Sarah goes straight to your house and sleeps with Logan." "You're lying," Zoe whispered. "Check the timestamps on the photos. March 15th when you were in Chicago. March 22nd when you went to Boston. April 3rd, April 10th, April 17th. Every single time you were out of town, Zoe. Every single time." Logan finally found his voice. "David, man, this isn't what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. Now you've been screwing my wife in your wife's house while she's working her ass off to support your lifestyle." "David, stop," Sarah said, but her voice was shaking now. "The coffee stain story was creative, though," I continued. "And the thing about whispering about Zoe's birthday party. You almost had me convinced for a minute there." Zoe stood up suddenly. "Is this true?" she asked Logan. "Have you been with Sarah?" Logan looked like he wanted to disappear into the chair. "Zoe, honey, I can explain. Is it true?" The silence stretched out for what felt like hours. Finally, Logan nodded. "It just happened," he said quietly. "We didn't plan it. It was just one thing led to another." Zoe turned to Sarah. "How long?" Sarah was crying now. "Zoe, please, it's not what you think." "How long, Sarah?" 6 months, Sarah whispered. Zoe slapped her. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. 6 months, Zoe repeated. 6 months of coming home from business trips and hugging you, telling you how much I missed you, asking you to watch my house while I was gone. 6 months of you lying to my face. Zoe, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen. Get out. What? Get out of my sight. Both of you. I never want to see either of you again. Logan stood up. Zoe, please, let's go home and talk about this. We don't have a home anymore, Logan. We don't have anything anymore. And that's when Sarah turned to me with pure venom in her eyes. Are you happy now, David? You've destroyed everything. I looked at her for a long moment. No, Sarah, you destroyed everything. I just took pictures of it. After Zoe and Logan left, separately, with Zoe screaming at Logan to get his own ride home, Sarah and I sat in our living room in complete silence for about 10 minutes. So what now? She finally asked. Now we figure out what comes next. Do you want a divorce? It was a simple question, but it felt like a trap. If I said yes, I was the bad guy who gave up on our marriage over one mistake. If I said no, I was the pathetic husband who let his wife walk all over him. I don't know, I said honestly. Do you? Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I think maybe we should take a break, give each other some space to think. A break. I could stay at my sister's place for a few weeks. We could do some counseling, figure out if this is something we can work through. I nodded. It sounded reasonable, mature, even. Okay. Okay? Yeah, take all the time you need. Something flickered across Sarah's face, surprise maybe, or disappointment, like she'd expected me to fight harder to keep her. I'll pack some things tonight, she said. I'll call you in a few days and we can talk. Sure. She went upstairs and I heard her moving around in our bedroom, opening drawers and closets. I sat on the couch and tried to figure out how I felt. Angry, obviously, hurt, but also, weirdly, relieved, like I'd been holding my breath for months and could finally exhale. Sarah came back downstairs with a suitcase and her laptop bag. David, she said, I really am sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know that. I know. I do love you. I know that too. She kissed my forehead like I was a child she was tucking into bed, and then she was gone. I spent the next week in a weird kind of limbo. I went to work, fixed computers, came home to an empty house, and tried to figure out what 15 years of marriage was actually worth. Sarah called twice, once to ask if I'd seen her good earrings. I hadn't, and once to tell me she'd made an appointment with a marriage counselor for the following week. I said I'd think about it. The whole town was buzzing with gossip, of course. In a place like Millfield, news travels fast, and the news that the Parrish marriage was imploding and the Mitchell marriage was on life support was too juicy to keep quiet. I got sympathetic looks at the grocery store and awkward conversations at the gas station. Hang in there, buddy, said Tom Rodriguez, who owned the hardware store. These things have a way of working themselves out. Thanks, Tom. You need anything? You let me know, okay? I mean it. That was the thing about small towns. Everyone knew your business, but they also had your back when things went bad. The marriage counselor was a nice woman named Dr. Patricia Wells, who had an office above the pharmacy on Main Street. Sarah and I sat on opposite ends of her couch and tried to explain how we'd gotten to this point. David, Dr. Wells said, how are you feeling about Sarah's affair? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. I'm angry, obviously. But I'm also confused. I keep wondering if there were signs I missed, or if there's something I could have done differently. And Sarah, how are you feeling about the situation? Sarah twisted her wedding ring around her finger. Guilty. Ashamed. But also, I don't know. Like maybe this was inevitable. David and I have been growing apart for years. We barely talk anymore. We don't have kids. We don't really have anything in common except the mortgage. Do you want to save this marriage? I don't know, Sarah said. I think I want to save it, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure I actually do. Dr. Wells looked at me. David? I want to save the marriage I thought I had, I said. But I'm not sure that marriage ever really existed. We scheduled another session for the following week, but Sarah canceled it the day before. I think I need more time, she said when she called. This is all happening too fast. Okay. Are you mad? No, Sarah, I'm not mad. But I was lying. I was furious. Not about the affair anymore, but about this. The counseling had been her idea, and now she was backing out because it was happening too fast. After 6 months of sleeping with Logan, now she needed time to think. That's when Zoe called me. David, it's Zoe. Can we meet somewhere and talk? We met at Murphy's, the dive bar on the edge of town where nobody we knew would see us. Zoe looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweatpants and an old college t-shirt. How are you holding up? I asked. I've been better. Logan moved out yesterday. He's staying at his brother's place until we figure out the divorce stuff. I'm sorry. Are you? Because part of me thinks you're enjoying this. I considered that. Maybe a little. Is that terrible? No, I think I'd be enjoying it too if I wasn't so busy being devastated. We ordered drinks, beer for me, wine for her, and sat in comfortable silence for a while. Can I ask you something? Zoe said eventually. Sure. How long did you know? Before you took the pictures, I mean. I started noticing the pattern about 6 months ago, but I didn't really know until I saw them together. 6 months? So you knew the whole time I didn't? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? It was a fair question, and one I'd been asking myself. Honestly, because I hoped I was wrong, and because I didn't have proof. If I'd come to you with just suspicions, would you have believed me? Zoe thought about it. Probably not. I would have thought you were trying to cause trouble. Exactly? God, I feel so stupid. All those business trips telling Sarah to keep an eye on Logan, asking her to make sure he was eating right and not just living on protein bars and takeout. You're not stupid? You trusted the people you loved? Yeah, well, look how that turned out. We finished our drinks and ordered another round. What's Sarah saying about all this? Zoe asked. That she needs time to think? She canceled our counseling appointment. Of course she did. What's that supposed to mean? Zoe looked at me like I was an idiot. David, she's not thinking about whether she wants to save your marriage. She's thinking about whether she wants to be with Logan. Logan's married. Not for long. I filed for divorce yesterday. That hit me like a punch to the stomach. So she's just waiting to see if Logan's going to choose her? Probably. And if he does, then she'll ask you for a divorce. And if he doesn't, she'll come back to you and pretend this whole thing was just a mistake she's learned from. I stared at my beer. You really think that's what's happening? I know Sarah, David. I've known her for 8 years. She doesn't do anything without a backup plan. The next day, Sarah called me. I've been thinking, she said, and I want to try to make this work. I want to come home. What about needing more time to think? I've done enough thinking. I made a mistake, David. A huge mistake. But I don't want to lose you over it. What about Logan? There was a pause. What about him? Is it over between you two? Of course it's over. It was over the minute Zoe found out. But something in her voice didn't sound right. She sounded disappointed, like she was settling for second choice. Okay, I said. Come home. We'll figure it out. Sarah came home that evening with flowers and my favorite takeout from the Chinese place in the next town. She'd done her hair and makeup, was wearing the dress I'd bought her for her birthday last year. I missed you, she said, kissing me at the front door. I missed you too. We had dinner and talked about safe things. Work, the weather, the new family that had moved into the Hendersons' old house. It felt almost normal, except for the undercurrent of tension that made every conversation feel like we were walking through a minefield. That night, Sarah initiated sex for the first time in months. It should have felt like a new beginning, but instead it felt like an audition. Like she was trying to convince both of us that this could work. The next morning, I was getting dressed for work when I heard Sarah on the phone in the kitchen. I know, she was saying quietly. I know it's complicated, but what choice do I have? I crept to the top of the stairs and listened. Logan, we talked about this. Zoe's not going to take you back, and David's willing to forgive me. I have to think about my future here. My blood turned to ice. Of course I'd rather be with you, but you're not offering me that, are you? You're not asking me to leave David and move in with you. You're asking me to wait around while you figure out your life. There was a long pause. Fine. But don't call me anymore unless you're ready to make a real commitment. I can't keep doing this. I heard her hang up and quickly went back to the bedroom, pretending to look for something in the closet. David? Sarah called. You almost ready? I made coffee. Be right down, I called back. So Zoe had been right. Sarah was keeping me as her backup plan while she waited to see if Logan would leave his wife for her. Except Logan's wife had already left him, and he still wasn't stepping up. I went to work and spent the day thinking about what I'd overheard. By the time I got home, I'd made a decision. How was your day? Sarah asked when I walked in. Good. Yours? Fine. Quiet. Any interesting phone calls? Something flickered across her face. No. Why? Just wondering. That night, I waited until Sarah was asleep and then I called Zoe. I think I have an idea, I said quietly, but I'm going to need your help. Let me get this straight, Zoe said. We were sitting in her car in the parking lot behind Murphy's bar, where no one would see us together. You want me to help you catch Sarah and Logan together again? Not exactly. I want to give them enough rope to hang themselves. What's the difference? I pulled out my phone and showed her the text message I'd drafted but not sent yet. I'm going to text Sarah and tell her I have to work late tomorrow night. Emergency call at the hospital. Their whole computer system is down. Could be there until midnight. Okay. Then you're going to text Logan and tell him you want to meet up to talk about the divorce. Somewhere public, like the diner on Route 9, 7 o'clock. Zoe frowned. But I don't want to meet with Logan. You're not actually going to meet with him. You're going to text him at 6:30 and cancel. Tell him you're not ready to talk yet. I still don't see what this accomplishes. Sarah thinks I'm going to be working late. Logan thinks you're going to be busy with him until at least 8 or 9. That gives them a window to meet up without worrying about either of us catching them. And then what? Then we catch them. Zoe was quiet for a minute. David, what's the point? You already have proof they were sleeping together. You already confronted them. It's over. Is it? Because Sarah came home yesterday talking about how she wants to make our marriage work, and I heard her on the phone with Logan this morning talking about how she'd rather be with him. She's still seeing him. She's definitely still talking to him, and I think if Logan told her he wanted to be with her, she'd leave me in a heartbeat. She's only staying because he won't commit. Zoe's jaw tightened. That bastard. He destroys our marriage, and he won't even have the decency to take responsibility for it. So will you help me? What exactly are you planning to do when we catch them? I don't know yet, but I'm tired of being lied to, and I'm tired of being the only one in my marriage who doesn't know what's really going on. Zoe stared out the windshield for a long time. Finally, she said, Okay, but I want to be there when it happens. I want to see Logan's face when he realizes he's been caught again. Deal. The next day, I sent Sarah the text about working late. She responded immediately. That sucks. I was hoping we could have dinner together. Maybe watch a movie. Rain check? I texted back. This could take all night. Of course. I love you. Love you too. At 6 o'clock, Zoe texted Logan asking to meet at the diner. At 6:30, she canceled. By 7:15, Sarah had left the house. I followed her from a distance, staying far enough back that she wouldn't notice my car. She drove straight to Logan's house, just like I knew she would. Zoe was already parked at the end of the street when I got there. They're both inside, she said when I got in her car. I saw Logan let her in about 10 minutes ago. Now we wait. For what? For them to get comfortable. I want them to think they have all night. We sat in Zoe's car for an hour, watching Logan's house. The living room lights were on, then they went off. The bedroom light came on. I think I'm going to be sick, Zoe said. We don't have to do this. We can just leave. No, I need to see this. I need to know for sure that he's choosing her over any chance of saving our marriage. At 9 o'clock, I called Sarah. And, hey, she said, and I could hear that she was trying to sound normal, but her voice was a little breathless. How's work going? Terrible. This is going to take forever. I probably won't be home until after midnight. Oh no. Do you want me to bring you some dinner? No, I'm fine. The hospital has a cafeteria. You just relax at home? Okay, I love you. Love you too. I hung up and looked at Zoe. She's definitely not at home. So what now? Now we go knock on the door. David, I don't think... Trust me. We walked up to Logan's front door together. I could hear music playing inside and voices. I knocked loudly. The voices stopped. The music kept playing. I knocked again, harder. Logan, I called out. Open up. I know you're in there. After a minute, Logan opened the door. He was wearing jeans and no shirt, and his hair was messed up. David, what are you doing here? I came to talk to my wife. Is she here? What? No, man. Why would she be here? Because her car is in your driveway. Logan glanced over his shoulder, then back at me. She just stopped by to drop off some of Zoe's stuff that she forgot when she moved out. At 9 o'clock at night? She was in the neighborhood? Where is she? She left already. Her car's still here, Logan. She walked home. It's not that far. I pushed past him into the house. Sarah, I called out. I know you're here. Dude, you can't just... Sarah. I heard a door close upstairs. A minute later, Sarah came down the stairs, wearing one of Logan's t-shirts and her jeans from earlier. David, she said, what are you doing here? I thought you were working. The job got canceled. Turned out to be a false alarm. I looked back and forth between Sarah and Logan. So, what's going on here? Nothing, Sarah said quickly. I was just... She was returning some of Zoe's things, Logan said at the same time. In your bedroom? We were just talking. About what? Sarah and Logan looked at each other, and I could see them trying to come up with a story that made sense. About you and Zoe, Sarah said finally. About how to help you both get through the divorce. The divorce? Logan feels terrible about what happened between us. He wants to make it right. By sleeping with you again? We weren't sleeping together, Sarah said. God, David, why is that always where your mind goes? Because you're wearing his shirt and your hair looks like you just rolled out of bed. I spilled wine on my shirt. Logan gave me a clean one. And your hair? I laid down on his couch for a minute. I had a headache. I looked at Logan. Is that your story too? Logan nodded. That's what happened, man. I swear. Okay, I said. I believe you. Sarah's face relaxed. You do? Absolutely. In fact, I think this is great. You two working together to help me and Zoe through our divorces. It shows real maturity. I pulled out my phone. Zoe, you can come in now. What? Sarah said. The front door opened and Zoe walked in. She took one look at Sarah in Logan's shirt, and Logan standing there shirtless, and her face went white with rage. You lying piece of shit, she said to Logan. You told me it was over. You told me you wanted to try to work things out. Zoe, I never said that. Yesterday. You called me yesterday and said you missed me and wanted to talk about giving our marriage another chance. Sarah turned to Logan. You said what? It's not what you think. You told her you wanted to work things out. Sarah's voice was getting higher. While you were telling me that you just needed time to figure out how to leave her? I never said I was going to leave Zoe. Yes, you did. This morning on the phone, you said... This morning? Zoe interrupted. You talked to him this morning? Sarah realized her mistake too late. No, I meant... You've been talking to my husband behind my back while pretending to support me through our divorce? Zoe, it's not like that. And you? Zoe turned to me. You've been lying to me too. You said Sarah wanted to work on your marriage. She does, I said, just not with me. The room erupted in shouting, Sarah and Zoe screaming at each other, Logan trying to explain himself to both of them, everyone talking over everyone else. Finally, I whistled loudly. Enough, I said. Everybody shut up for a minute. The room went quiet. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Sarah, you're going to go home and pack your things, all of your things. You have until Sunday. David, I'm not finished. Logan, you're going to stay the hell away from my wife and my house. If I see you anywhere near Sarah after tonight, we're going to have a problem. You can't tell me. And Zoe, you and I are going to go have a drink and figure out how to make sure these two idiots get exactly what they deserve. I looked around the room. Any questions? Nobody said anything. Good. Sarah, get your shirt and let's go. Sarah barely spoke to me on the drive home. When we got to the house, she went straight upstairs and slammed the bedroom door. I could hear her on the phone, probably calling Logan, but I didn't care anymore. I poured myself a drink and sat on the couch, trying to figure out what I was feeling. Relief, mostly. The pretending was over. The lying was over. Whatever happened next, at least it would be honest. Around midnight, Sarah came downstairs with red eyes and a suitcase. I'm going to stay at my sister's, she said. Okay. I'll come back this weekend to get the rest of my stuff. Fine. She stood in the doorway for a minute, like she was waiting for me to say something. When I didn't, she said, David, I really am sorry. I never wanted it to happen this way. I know. Do you think there's any chance we could try counseling again? Really try this time? I looked at her for a long moment. Sarah, do you love him? What? Logan, do you love him? She opened her mouth to say no, then closed it again. Finally, she nodded. Yeah, she said quietly. I do. Then no. There's no chance. She started crying again, but she didn't argue. After she left, I called Zoe. How are you doing? I asked. I've been better. You? Same. Want to get that drink? It's almost 1 a.m. Murphy's is open until 2. Okay, give me 10 minutes. Murphy's was nearly empty when we got there. Just us, the bartender, and an old guy nursing a beer in the corner. We found a booth in the back and ordered whiskey. So what now? Zoe asked. Now we figure out how to move on with our lives. I meant what you said back at Logan's house, about making sure they get what they deserve. I'd been thinking about that. What do you think they deserve? I think they deserve to be as miserable as they've made us. And how do we make that happen? Zoe smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. I have some ideas. I'm listening. Logan's gym is struggling financially, has been for months. The only reason he's been able to keep it open is because I've been covering the rent with my salary. Okay. I'm also the one who handles all his social media, his advertising, his customer database, everything that makes that business run. And as of tomorrow, I'm not doing any of that anymore. In fact, I'm going to make sure every woman in this town knows exactly what kind of man Logan Parrish really is. I raised my glass. I like it. What about Sarah? What about her? She works at the elementary school, with kids. The parents in this town aren't going to be thrilled when they find out their children's reading tutor has been sleeping with her best friend's husband. You think she'll lose her job? I think it's possible, especially if the right people find out about it. The right people? PTA members, school board, parents who care about moral character in the people who work with their kids. Zoe grinned. David Mitchell, you devious bastard. I learned from the best. We spent the next hour planning. By the time we left Murphy's, we had a strategy that would ensure both Logan and Sarah faced real consequences for what they'd done. The next morning, I started making phone calls. Mrs. Henderson. Hi, it's David Mitchell. I fix your computer sometimes. Yes, that's right. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up about something. You know how your daughter Emma has been working with Sarah Mitchell on her reading? Well, I thought you should know that Sarah and I are getting divorced. Yes, it's very sad. The thing is, she's been having an affair with a married man, and I thought you might want to know before you decide whether you're comfortable with her continuing to work with Emma. I made 12 calls that morning. By afternoon, my phone was ringing with calls from other parents who'd heard the news and wanted to know if it was true. Meanwhile, Zoe was busy with her own campaign. She'd changed all the passwords on Logan's business accounts, canceled his advertising, and sent a very detailed email to every female member of his gym explaining exactly why she was divorcing him. The response has been interesting, she told me when she called that afternoon. Apparently, Logan has been hitting on half his female clients for years. They just never said anything because they didn't want to cause problems in our marriage. How thoughtful of them. 3 women have already canceled their memberships, and that's just today. By Friday, the whole town was buzzing with the story. Sarah had been asked to take a leave of absence from the school while the administration reviewed the situation. Logan's gym had lost 15 members and counting. That's when Sarah called me. David, what did you do? What do you mean? You know what I mean. The school, the parents calling me, people staring at me at the grocery store. You've been telling people about the affair. People asked me questions. I answered them honestly. You're trying to destroy my life. No, Sarah, you destroyed your life. I'm just not helping you cover it up anymore. This is cruel, David. Even for you. Even for me. What's that supposed to mean? You've always been vindictive when you don't get your way. Remember when your brother borrowed your car and got a scratch on it? You didn't speak to him for 6 months. That's not the same thing, isn't it? Someone does something you don't like, and you punish them until they're sorry. The difference is, Sarah, my brother borrowed my car. He didn't sleep with someone else's wife in someone else's bed for 6 months while lying to my face about it. There was a long pause. Then Sarah said, I want to come get my things tomorrow. Fine, I'll be here. I'm bringing Logan to help me move. No. What? You're not bringing Logan to my house. You want your stuff, come get it yourself. David, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You can bring your sister, you can bring a moving company, you can bring anyone you want except Logan. Those are my terms. Sarah hung up on me. Saturday morning, Sarah showed up with her sister Amy and Amy's husband Mike. I stayed in the kitchen while they loaded boxes and furniture into a rented truck. It took them 3 hours to clear out 15 years of Sarah's life. When they were done, Amy came into the kitchen. "David, I want you to know that I think what Sarah did was wrong." "Thanks, Amy. But I also think what you're doing now is wrong, too." "What am I doing?" "You're trying to destroy her reputation, her job, her whole life. That's not justice, that's revenge." "Maybe. But you know what? I'm okay with that." Amy shook her head. "This isn't like you." "How would you know what I'm like? You've seen me maybe 10 times in the past 5 years. Sarah's my sister, and she made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences." After they left, I surveyed the house. Good dishes, artwork, coffee maker, half the books, her clothes, and her grandmother's jewelry box. All gone. The place felt decluttered, ready for a new chapter. Sunday, Zoe called. Logan was broke, gym failing, memberships canceled, facing eviction from his brothers. He begged her for money. She told him to ask Sarah. Sarah had lost her job. The town had turned on them both. "Did we go too far?" Zoe asked. "Ask me in a year." Monday, Tom from the hardware store offered a partnership, computer repair in his shop. I said I'd think about it. That afternoon, Sarah cornered me at the library. She begged me to stop the campaign against them. Parents, school board, gym clients shunning her. She couldn't find work. They couldn't afford rent. I told her I'd simply stop lying for her. The truth wasn't my weapon. It was just the truth. She cried. I walked away. A week later, Sarah and Logan fled to Florida for a cousin's construction job lead. 6 months on, my partnership with Tom thrived. Steady local clients, no more county-wide drives. Zoe moved to Portland, loving her harbor view. Sarah and Logan lasted 2 months at the construction gig. Now both worked call centers in a cramped apartment. Sarah called Amy crying, wanting to come home. I told Amy. She made her bed. One night, Sarah phoned from Florida. "I miss you. I made a mistake." "Which one?" "Both." "No chance, Sarah. You're still with him." She begged. I hung up and turned off my phone. Next day, I felt lighter, finally free of the idea I had to fix her mess. That afternoon, I helped new-in-town Jennifer set up her home office. We talked books and travel. She asked me to dinner, as friends. I said yes, and meant it. Driving home, I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in ages. My phone buzzed. Probably Sarah. I didn't look. I had better things ahead.